Welcome to the show. We are here with Evan Burton, Zest, Heaven Zest of Indubious.
Hey,
Welcome to
hey.
the show, brother.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, uh, we here at Higher Frequencies are all about high vibes and consciousness and stuff like that, and you guys represent that beautifully. So, as usual, we will get started with a little over the air frequency tuning. I got these awesome new sound bowls, a whole set for my birthday from my wife Lisa. So this is the
Beautiful.
first time I used this big giant crystal one. I have
It's
like
gorgeous,
some
man.
smaller brass ones beforehand.
Mm.
All right. Um. So welcome to the show, brother. We higher frequencies all about consciousness and higher vibrations and learning and exploring consciousness through this transition of the ages. We're all just kind of feeling out the new stuff and
Hmm.
exploring, deep
Beautiful,
dive
man.
into big questions. Um, you and your brother and y'all's music plays uh, a, a vital role in this transition for you guys being channels for spirit, and some of the messages you bring through is iconic for where we are as humanity evolving consciously at this point in time.
Thank you, brother.
Um, so I guess we'll start out with just like random questions of whatever to see where things go. How did you end up on your spiritual journey? Was there something like in your childhood, or there was like an aha moment or something like that?
I kind of came out of the womb inherently spiritual. It was always a part of me, even since I was really, really small. It's just my connection to magic has always been profound. And so it's an inherent part of how I am. And then on top of that, there is a series of life events that led me deeper into my sense of my awareness of what we really are as beings. And the primary aspect of that for me was being born with a disease. I was born with cystic fibrosis, and the doctors told my parents that I wouldn't live past my teenage years. So this had an interesting effect because when you're faced with your own mortality and your awareness that you will inevitably die, it starts to beg the question, what am I going to do with my short time here on earth? So my perspective at the time was, well, perhaps I won't live as long as everyone else. And so instead of planning to have this long life and a career and retirement, what I'm going to do is focus on the reason I'm truly here, because I don't have a whole lot of time to waste. Little did I know, that's the case with all of us. We're all here for a short time, and we all should be focusing on the reason we came here, because we all don't have time to waste. You know, when your life might be taken away tomorrow, you're going to make damn sure that today's a good day, right? And so not only that, but also when you become inherently aware of your own mortality and the fact that you will inevitably die, it brings about the awareness of there has to be something more than this. The flesh can't be all there is, because the flesh comes and goes. And feeling what I am and my awareness and my passion and my consciousness and my intellect and just the power of my being, it's like this can't be all that I am. You know what I mean? So this is me trying to verbalize and explain things that I maybe wasn't even consciously perceiving, but I think that were kind of maybe subconsciously affecting, bringing me deeper into myself and my path, you know?
Right.
And so I didn't go into my life and go, okay, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to become an electrician and I'm going to start saving from our 401k. It was more like, all right, I looked at my brother, because it's me and my brother that were both born with this disease. And I said, okay, buddy, what are we going to do? What do we want to do? Let's make music. Music is just what was inherently the most exciting thing that we were the most passionate about. And not only were we kind of driven into the spiritual sense of what we were through our circumstance and our inherent tendencies as people, but we also grew up in a household that was really rich in music, not just any kind of music, but spiritual music, reggae music. And
That's sweet.
you know, my dad was super into reggae. I grew up listening to Bob Marley and Steel Pulse and Third World, and you know, and then later on got into, you know, all the different kinds of Jamaican dance hall, and just had a very rich musical household. And so it almost feels like there wasn't a decision that was made. It was just, okay, obviously this is what we're doing, you know. It was what we loved. And you know, having a brother that not only shares the same disease with you and the same diagnosis and outlook, but also shares the same passion for music, it was just like, okay, yeah, of course we're going to make music. Let's do that, right? So that was kind of the guiding. Music has been the kind of guiding principle of my life, my passion, my my spiritual growth, if you will. It was like the thing that led me down the steps to all of the discoveries and realizations and incredible things that have unfolded in my life.
That's so awesome. It's very interesting that you find people that were born with a set of cards that start with a strong struggle, whether it's something to do with parents or trauma or a sickness. Those people, when they come through the flames, turn into super spiritual badasses. And that's what you are. Even though you've been tested even more recently with that, yeah, you both are like spiritual badasses, and a good friend of mine, Christopher Timms, talks about the old shamans and stuff that they reincarnated as musicians, you know, like Bob Marley and Janis Joplin, and you just did a song with Jeremy Anderson. I gave him the name Ja Rami, and
Ja
you know,
Rhyme.
first I was like, I told him I was like, brother, you're like a shaman, and to be able to channel spirit and bring through those certain things is bigger than yourself, which is the practice of shamanism is that concept of dealing with the energies and learn how to move and mold to allow people to have space to heal themselves, because nobody heals anybody else. You heal yourself.
That's right.
People provide that seed that you can do it and hold space for you to do it yourself. You know.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the shaman is the bridge between this world and the other. And that's really what we do with our music, you know. We try to bring through messages and vibrations from the other side that can manifest in the physical world. And here's an interesting thing that I was thinking about the other day. This was something a video that I saw that's you can have a dream and hear a song in your dream. And then the next day, remember that song. You brought something in from the dream world, right? But if in your dream you get a million, you win the lottery, you get $1 million, the next day you don't have that money. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about music?
I mean, to me, it's a communication that, because language is a barrier for communication, because we're energetic beings, and
Sure.
and music breaks those barriers of language for you to
Mhm.
channel that energy.
Right.
It's the, I mean, music is, in theory, is the cosmos, the whole universe. Like, is a symphony of vibration, which is a song that vibrates the field into what we see as matter. You know,
Right.
it's all just a song.
Yeah. That's what the ancient Vedic knowledge of the Om, the sound Om, is the sound that vibrated consciousness into existence.
Yeah, the primordial.
Hmm.
Um, what do you feel about being able to bring a song through like that? What's your take on that?
Well, it's like you can bring through a song from one realm to the other, but you couldn't bring through your lottery winnings, for example. It's because music is real. All that other stuff isn't real. There's nothing inherently valuable with, you know, within the material realm.
Yes,
It's an illusory item, so to speak. You know,
it's like the treasures
um,
on earth and the treasures in heaven,
right.
and that the material
Music
stuff is.
transcends music can transcend and is transferable between realms, and as is knowledge and perspective and
Absolutely.
understanding, but
Absolutely.
nothing else.
Love. Yeah, music is a. I mean, I feel like you could really, if you the more you dive on that idea, the you just deeper you kind of get into life and consciousness.
What do you mean by that?
Uh, I feel like the more that you dive into the magic of music, is seems like the same as like the deep dive spiritual journey of finding the answers to why life exists. I feel like
Yeah.
they kind of fit hand in hand.
Music is life, man.
Totally. How have you been enjoying your your new set on life and your new journey with Heaven Zest and your new practice with like being in the flow state and just being raw, fully surrendered?
It's been a challenging, um, incredibly rewarding, and wild ride. You know, starting over, kind of brand new with the new project musically in my life at this point has been, that's certainly outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah, I bet
You
so.
know, but that's kind of where all the growth happens, right? Outside of your comfort zone.
For sure.
And what I'm trying to do with what I am doing with this new project is something different than I've ever done before. Where, I mean, you've seen my live stream, so you already know. But what I'm doing is I'm bringing through improvisational pieces of music in the moment. And the reason I'm doing that is because what I've come to learn over my years of playing music is that when there's no plan and there's no set scaffolding of what you're doing, the new things can emerge. And being witness to something being birthed in the moment, brand new, that's never been seen or heard or done before, and like bringing that through, channeling that, and people witnessing it from the outside, there's nothing more magical and spiritual than that for me. Because what it takes someone being completely in trust, trusting themselves and trusting spirit to deliver something through them. And so it really truly is this incredible leap of faith that someone can do to open up in that way and just see what happens. And it's just so attractive to me and exciting to me, um, over basically from years of playing songs that I've written, right? You write a song and you play it and you go and play it live and then people like it and you play it live and you play it live. All of a sudden you're playing the same dang song for 20 years,
Yeah.
you know? And you're like, this song is magical. People love the song, but for some reason, I don't even enjoy playing this anymore. And so using using my feeling as my guide of, if I'm doing something that's not fun for me, it must not be the right thing. It must not be exactly, there's a way to dial this or fine tune this to where this can be exciting for me and exciting for people around me as well. That's not to say that I'm never going to go and write a song and play it over and over. That's going to happen, undoubtedly going to happen.
Right.
But if I can also weave in this improvisational channeling aspect, even into those songs, or just within the set of music that I'm playing, it becomes this fertile ground for something brand new to come to life. And I want that always. I want to do that everywhere I go. I want to let spirit channel through. Like, I want to go and talk to the mailman and say the thing that's coming through. I want that wherever
Yeah.
I go. And so everywhere I go, I bring it because everyone I know, they need it. We all need that.
Oh,
Breaking ourselves out of the monotony of our culture and world is like an absolute necessity for happiness, man. I don't know how some people do it.
no.
Some people go to work, work a job their entire lives until they're
Zombies.
old and don't believe in God, don't have any sort of magical, mystical sense of what they are beyond this, human in a box. I don't know how that's even possible, man. You
Perfected
know?
mind control.
Say it again.
Perfected mind control.
Well,
Society as a whole, like
it's
the
it's like
program of TV, it's
I mean,
mastered.
but it takes a willing participant.
True.
Like what's the difference between us and the people that are like that? It's because,
That's a great question.
you and I had decided to not do it,
Yeah.
to do something else.
Well, it just seems poisonous. It seems like heaven and hell are a state of mind, and
Yeah,
that's hell in my mind. Like that's living in
sure.
hell.
It is, but in a sense, I think about this a lot, the duality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good and bad, dark and light, heaven and hell.
Right. I
We
try to
have
stay
to
away
have
from.
that. We have to have both ends of the spectrum in order to have the experience of becoming.
Yes.
You know, we need to have the unconsciousness in order to unfold the consciousness. We need to have the lack of awareness to have insight and discovery. All
Yes.
the magical, amazing stuff that we have the potential to realize and experience can only exist if we have the opposite of it.
Yeah.
And it's the catalyst of the darker times and the painful experiences often that are the things that bring about the greatest realizations.
Yes.
Like I look back in my life at the things that have happened that have been by far the most difficult things that I could imagine. That at the time I was like, God, please no, why me? And then I look back and I go, damn, I'm actually grateful for that because
Right.
that gave me all these specific understandings. And look at me now, man. Like that could never get me down again because
Yes.
now I know this, and this. And so it's trusting life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even when it starts to suck ass, you
Yes.
got to go, all right, there's a reason for it. I like to call it the juicer. You know,
The cat being shooken up
well, it's like, in
or
line with my
squeezing
whole
out the good stuff.
the Heaven Zest lemon theme, right? It's like life comes and like just clamps you down sometimes and just squeezes you.
Yeah.
And it's like squeezing out every
We're
little
making a
drop of
diamond.
juice.
Yeah.
And that's all that fear and doubt leaving. And you can only get that through the simulation of life. The simulation of life is the greatest simulation because it forces you to believe it's real,
Yes.
you know? Because it's all that we know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's only through a simulation of absolute high stakes life and death that you can learn the type of lessons that we need to learn in order to fulfill our spiritual evolution.
Yeah.
If we all came here with a memory of all of our past lives and an inherent knowledge of the future of our evolution before us, a full knowledge of God, we would have no fear of life. Therefore, we would
Yes.
not be forced to learn any lessons.
True story.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I've heard the theory that, a soul in higher dimensions like this does exist to know the consequence of every action, but consciousness grows so slowly versus At this state of forgetfulness, consciousness makes leaps and bounds so much faster because of catalyst. I think it's so unique that it takes these catalysts and these lessons to give life that zest, and then it takes the reflection on the things that we go through to be able to understand them.
Yeah, it's hard to understand while you're in it sometimes.
Totally.
When you're in the juicer, when you're under pressure and life's giving you the pain. And from our human perspectives, we would never choose that because we are wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. But I like to think of it from the perspective of like a loving parent. You would, that's what I see God as the universe. A parent that loves you so much that it's willing to put you through pain for your own good. Like your kid doesn't want to brush his teeth or whatever, and he cries every time and it's terrible. You gonna let him not brush his teeth? No, he's got to brush his teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Got to brush your teeth, dude. I don't care if you're crying. That's what a good parent would do. Kid hates going to school. You go, okay, never mind. You don't have to go to school, buddy. It's like, no, you got to do stuff in life. There's stuff that you have to do. And I understand that you don't like it, but that's not going to get you out of it because I love you so much that I can stand to see you in pain because I know it's a necessary step for you becoming who you're meant to be.
Right. In the big picture thing, none of this is as real as we think it is. It's just a blink, a flash. We will
Yeah.
play multiple roles and multiple characters and travel through the cosmos and spacesuits infinitely. So,
That
it really just
I
isn't
agree.
real
I
as it
agree
is.
with the sentiment. However, I would add that as temporary or fleeting or non-important as it may be in the grand scheme of things, we are meant to be here to take it damn seriously
For
and
sure.
to be within our lives, rooted in the reality of what we are and what we're experiencing.
Totally.
That's the whole reason we're here.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't downplaying the experience of life and now because this is all that exists is this
That's right.
0 point moment, and all lines lead to here, and all lines branch from here. Uh, there's nothing more beautiful than life itself, and to be able to be in this space suit and just see and look and breathe and touch and smell and I always say when I think communicate with God, creator, source, whatever, and I try to think about the things I'm grateful for, I'll go on and on and on and end up to the point where it's like I could do this for the rest of my life is explain the things I'm grateful for, and that's just kind of my own little practice when speaking to creator, but it's kind of amazing life in itself, and what you can be really grateful for even in the toughest of moments, and you of all people know that struggle. A lot of our listeners don't know about you or your brother. If you would like to kind of share some of your catalysts this led you to where you are now? Kind of give a little more information
Yeah,
about.
well, I went over it a little bit with the cystic fibrosis. My brother and I were both born with cystic fibrosis. In 2011, I received a double lung transplant. Cystic fibrosis primarily affects the lungs, and so I was experiencing lung failure. So in 2011, I received my double lung transplant. I had those lungs for 13 years. And then last year, I received my second double lung transplant. Um, yeah, you know, it doesn't get more catalytic than, getting that close to your own mortality. This last one, I didn't know if I was gonna make it, man. That was real by the hair of my chinny chin chin,
Yeah.
slid through. But I know it was all designed to go the way that exactly as it did in order for me to get to where it got me. And where it got me, as you were talking about just now, is in a place of deep gratitude. Nothing helps you understand how blessed we are to exist than being faced with the potential of no longer existing.
Hmm.
It's a type of heartbreak and sorrow that is so profound. It's one of the realest feelings there is. And this one feeling of heartbreak and sorrow for the potential of no longer existing is really on one end it's heartbreak and sorrow. On the other end, it's the most profound gratitude for life. Because the reason you're heartbroken is because you just fucking love your life.
Right.
And so to really get to the point of understanding how special it is to exist, that's it, man. If we could all get that, like, I had this funny thought sometimes where I think it's kind of sad that some people don't get the chance to go through these like life-threatening traumas that I've gone through. I feel like it's been such a gift to my perspective and awareness and my gratitude and my presence here on the earth that I feel like everyone should be able to receive some form of it.
Right.
Um, while also not wishing also simultaneously not wishing what I went through on anybody
Exactly.
because it's not fun.
What was it like to already be so deep on your spiritual journey and to be faced with such a big catalyst in your journey? Did it give you a sense of like lost, of like, why the hell has this happened to me?
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. Wow. Ooh. The worst. The
But then on the other
deepest.
side, you come out with your heart full and more spiritual knowledge, right?
I mean, that is a incredibly abbreviated and reduced but accurate description, right?
Right, right, right.
Um, I would say that my faith wasn't tested. My faith was completely removed. That I had lost faith,
Wow.
and that place of darkness that I mucked around in for several months, while waiting for my lungs because I was dying,
Yes.
um, was a foundation. It was a foundation of faith. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but the process of going so deep down low to the depths where I just had lost my faith, and then recovering it back was like, it was like this powerful foundation, of trust, of trusting the universe.
Right.
Because I was like, the scenario through which I got to where I did is a story that is almost too bizarre to be real. And it's not a story that I share with a lot of people because it's borderline unbelievable. But
Right.
the way that I was guided through that, and what the miracles that I've experienced following it, that's the foundation of what I am now as a real world superhero, of somebody with impenetrable faith and love and compassion and wisdom and knowledge of real life experience.
Right. Would you trade the word fate for knowing?
Yeah, I think that's an astute statement, my friend. And what made you think about that?
I struggle with words that we use, especially when it comes to spiritual things. When we deep dive in conscious, the English language lacks the words that we need to explain the thing you can't explain.
Yeah.
So, like,
The word
understanding.
faith to me has always had like a little bit of weakness with it.
Yeah,
Is that
like
what
a
you
lack of
feel?
no. Yeah, like
Like I believe. You
believe.
believe?
I don't like believe either. Yeah.
And so it's funny because in Bwiti, which is the spiritual tradition from Africa that are the stewards of the Iboga medicine. They don't use belief. They don't like belief.
Yeah.
They say beliefs are dangerous things. A belief is something that you don't know to be true that you think is.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what gets us into trouble. So
Yes.
it's like we don't mess with beliefs. All we mess with is knowledge. What do you know?
Right.
And so we call them the original scientists. This is back before science was even sciencing,
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of years ago. And they said, how do we know what's real? And this is what they asked the Iboga medicine. The Iboga medicine told them about the rule of three. They say, what's the rule of three? The rule of three is that you need to be able to verify something with at least 3 of your senses before you can know it to be true. And so learning this knowledge from the Bwiti wisdom and from the Iboga was something in my life at the time when I heard it. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But as time has unfolded, what that has done for me is really it's simplified my life in a profound way. Because all the stuff that I used to believe, I don't mess with that anymore. I don't mess with beliefs. Let's sit around and ponder what things could be, or yeah, I think that's probably the way it is. Like who cares? That's all that is entertainment.
Right.
If that's entertaining for you, fine. But what do we know? You know? And so when I say the word faith, it could just, it's I think knowing is a good synonym for it.
Me
You know,
personally, I try to reprogram myself from certain words, faith, belief, to understanding, knowing, because I don't really like the term understanding. So that's just kind of my own thing of like reprogram myself to use
Sure.
certain
Yeah, I mean,
words.
my faith for me is my connection and acceptance of the truth.
Right. Straight no. Um, Another thing that I use is the surrender. That spot where you know that the universe is laid out before you and it's going to take care of you and guide you to the most beautiful places if you allow it to, is one of the biggest things I've been trying to learn over the years is to be in that state of surrender. And you talking, it sounds like you're talking about that same thing, with that knowing and just being fully open and guided and push to wherever the river may flow.
Absolutely, man. I mean, in order to surrender, we must first accept. So surrender and acceptance are, you know, are really good friends. Because if we can accept where we are in life, accept what we are essentially casting out delusion. It's very easy to be deluded, to not be able to see ourselves as we really are. When we have too many things in the way, too many attachments and beliefs that are keeping us from the truth. But when we can accept the truth, accept ourselves how we are, then this pathway of surrendering, I mean, they're almost like the same thing in a way, right?
Yeah, totally. Is there any did y'all have any spiritual teachers or anybody that you kind of guided you while y'all were younger to where you are now, or anybody that really stands out as like, I really got some deep, profound knowledge from blank?
Yeah. I would say that my one of my greatest spiritual teachers in life has been Vaughn Benjamin of the band Midnight. Um, we became really tuned into his music back around 2007, 2008. And eventually got to meet him and record some songs with him and become friends with him, which was incredible.
Right.
Um, and then he passed away, um, shoot, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. At least I think closer to 6 years ago, which was really heartbreaking. Um, and then following that, I would say that given our path with Iboga medicine, that the Bwiti from Gabon, Africa, and the shaman Mugenda, the 10th generation Bwiti shaman, um, which is not really it's not really so much to say him specifically, but the body of Bwiti teachings um, as a whole that has really guided us, and then even beyond that, the Iboga medicine itself. And the Iboga medicine itself is not just like, oh, this is a psychedelic and you take it and you have insight. It's like, this is a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a specific spirit with a personality and an intellect and humor and profound love, profound divine love for you that has been probably well, no, not even probably. It's certainly been the most profound teacher that I've experienced in my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Life changing, you know. It's one thing to get some knowledge from someone and go, "Oh, that's cool, man. I feel that." Right? Like we get that. We can scroll through Instagram and find a meme and go, "Yeah," you know.
Yeah.
But then it's a whole nother thing to be able to take that knowledge and integrate it and do it. Actually do it
Right.
in life for real. And regardless of all the incredible advice that I've received in my life, the amount of that I've been able to like integrate and apply and watch my life change has been, let's say, 15%.
Right.
Whereas with Iboga, it has this unique combination of simple, profound advice mixed with this neurogenerative properties that it's like it's just this magic combination that allows you to get something and understand it and implement it in your life, unlike anything that I've experienced before. So my my life, the path of my life has been completely just like shoom, like the second I got this stuff, it was like this is where I'm going, man. This is the thing for me. And that's not to say that this is the end all be all for everybody, but
Right.
for me, my soul, my particular incarnation or whatever I'm doing on this planet, I didn't get to really truly know and understand what that was until I met the Iboga medicine. Because the Iboga medicine was it was the deepest sense of soul recognition in another, which was like, oh yeah, this is why I came here. I get it, I remember now. All the things click, 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 click. You see this, and it shows me everything, shows me how it all lines up, shows me where I'm going. It's like, yes, buddy, you're doing great. Keep fucking going, man. And I'm like, okay, simplified my life.
Nice. W- How would you compare the experience you've learned through your struggles to the realness of the experience you learned through the medicine? Is it
Um,
just as raw and
I mean, that's a hard question,
transformative?
buddy. That's a really good question. I applaud your insight here, man. Um, it's like the ultimate gift is life. Is life.
Hmm.
It's the greatest gift we'll ever receive. Nothing comes before it, and it's really the only gift that exists because it's the gift that makes all other gifts possible. You know, you can't be given a gift if you're not alive. You get nothing. So everything else exists within life. Iboga medicine, Von Benjamin, spiritual teachers. And so to say that any one of these teachers are going to come in and be greater than life itself, life is the lesson. It's the culmination of life experiences and knowledge and the people we meet and the whatever medicine we eat and the events. It's like, that's it. You can't really put anything above life. I mean, in a way, you could say God was the one who gave me life. Therefore, I'll say whatever the Most High, the universe, whatever, whatever words people are comfortable with. That's the ultimate. Yeah, sure, I could say that, but the only way that we can perceive it or even talk about it is because we're here to perceive
Yes.
by the gift of life. So, to answer your question, I would say nothing teaches us better than the experiences of life.
Right.
And are sometimes like really good simulators. It can be a really powerful simulation because what a lot of people experience, like when they go to an ayahuasca ceremony, it's like I thought I was gonna die, and I experienced my own death and what it was like, and it brought me this. So it's like this simulated death experience.
Right.
Um, Iboga's, to call Iboga and a psychedelic, it almost cheapens it a little bit because it's um, really kind of in its own unique category.
I get that.
Closer to ayahuasca than anything else,
Right.
but still just not super comparable. So it's not so much interested in giving you a simulation as it is. It's not a simulation, it's an assimilation. It wants you to assimilate the experiences in your life and help you understand what has happened and accept it and feel it, whether it's a positive feeling or a bad feeling, whatever it is, to feel it, because you have to feel it to heal it, to move on. And so it just wants to bring you back down to truth, to reality. So, yeah.
I
I
like
forgot
that term
what we were even talking
assimilation.
about. Say it
I was
again.
curious on the application of your struggles and your lessons through the medicine and
Yeah.
how they compare. Um, I like that term assimilation. That's a good way to try and emphasize that difference. Um,
And it goes right in line with acceptance.
yeah,
It's like this happened. This is how I felt. But what happens is something terrible can happen and we can feel some way about it, but we have these kind of like survival instincts that go, I don't have the capability of feeling this right now, and all I can do is compartmentalize it and lock it away and move forward with my life, or else I'm going to lose my shit.
yeah,
I mean, this is a survival mechanism that's amazing that we have because we can experience traumatic stuff and live to experience another day. But when we don't go back and go, okay, what happened? Let's process this, is we get clogged up. We get backed up with bullshit, and something that happened back when we were 8 years old is still affecting us today because we haven't let it flow through. We got to clear the channel. We got to allow our emotions to flow freely.
that
And
is
so
disease.
that's right. It creates
Dis-ease,
that's like the
disease.
root of disease, bro.
Exactly.
You know this. And so what happens is we become so disconnected from the truth of what really happened, the feeling, because of this compartmentalization and this like whatever's happening where we're like avoiding that we can't see it. It's just we just can't see it. It's like we're completely blind to it. But in what Iboga is this, it is a master at this. It goes in and says, hey, this is what we need to look at, buddy. Remember that? Let's go look at it. It knows. It's like it knows you better than you know yourself somehow. Or maybe not better than you know yourself. It knows you as good as your higher self knows yourself, right?
Right.
And so it says, hey, we got to go back and look at this. And so that process can be scary because what ends up happening is when we have a traumatic experience, we do this kind of compartmentalization, then we don't want to look at it because it's so bad. We go, that's I've labeled this as fucking terrible. I don't want to open that door to that closet and look. And that goes on for so long, that monster in that closet gets bigger and bigger in our minds. Right? We think it's the nastiest, biggest, most disgusting beast. But what Iboga will show you, and what, I'm sure many other practices will show you, is that when you go and you actually look at it, wasn't that bad. It's almost never as bad as we thought it was.
Totally.
And so it's like this process of building this kind of like bravery And not to say, not let's not use the word faith again. Let's use knowledge. Absolute knowing of the goodness of creation. That no matter how bad something really truly is, there's always alchemy. The alchemy of taking that sludge and going, where's the gift? It's all good because it's all God, baby. All of it.
Yeah,
Always has been, always will be. So that's a superpower.
for sure.
That's a superpower to know, like, no matter how bad it gets, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And to
It
know
could
that
be
while you're going through it, man.
it could be hard while you're in it though. But that's
Oh,
the
I
sweet
mean,
spot. That's the sweet spot.
it can be absolutely beyond hard, man.
But that's it. You're right. If we can just learn to be able to en- encompass that with everything we say, do, and say, everything we say and do, and all the interactions with other people. Um, that's the seeking. That's the mastery almost.
Well, I mean, it's all about practicing, right? It's not about the preaching. Preaching's
Yeah,
easy.
yeah, for sure. I get that. I have a lot
Simple.
of podcasts, but a lot of the stuff that come through over the years took me just as long to even understand it, much less to try to put in practice. Even though it come
Certainly.
through me, I'm sure you find that with your music because it's coming through you.
Yeah, I mean, the messages that come through are here to teach us. They come to teach me.
Hmm.
And so, if I'm getting a message coming through, it's because that's the path for me. And so it's not like everything that comes out of my music that I've already completely mastered.
Right.
A lot of it is helping me get to that state of mastery.
That's really what shows this a channeling and a bridge.
Yeah.
That's that shows this authenticity of it.
Yeah,
Does some of your older music still teach you now?
it does. Um, I mean, there's certainly like kind of like a time cutoff, like depending on how far back it is, it's kind of like I've gotten all this stuff for sure. But it's hard to say because the interpretation of music is incredibly subjective.
Yeah.
You know, you could take a song and to one person like, "Oh, this song's all about me in my life in this way," and the song to somebody else means something completely different. And then the person who wrote it was thinking something completely different when they wrote it. And this happens all the time. So, stuff that I wrote way back ago, whatever, 15 years ago, I can go back and listen to it and it has a completely different meaning based on where I am at,
The
right?
experience you've had to get there too, right?
Yeah.
The more
And
to
that meaning
reflect
can
on.
change over time.
I get that.
That meaning can change over time. The depth to it. It can take on multiple meanings.
One of the other beautiful, magical things about music.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's like this like holographic Rubik's cube that people get to tap into in their own way. It's this like higher dimensional encoded medicine that can kind of like fit to the individual energy of the person where they're at in their life at the time. It's like there's nothing like it, man. There's nothing
Yeah.
like it. It's like it's magic. It's beyond words.
You Are the Medicine, y'all do with cornflowers,
Hmm.
is one of my favorite shits for sure.
Thanks, man. I love
Yeah,
that song.
yeah, that's sweet and deep.
Yeah.
A lot to
Sweet and
unpack
deep.
with that one. Yep. Um, you were talking about where you are now and like your previous music experience. What I've learned is there's certain things that charge me. It doesn't matter how much food I eat, how much sleep I have. Uh, when I'm doing that thing I'm supposed to do, it gives me more energy than I can get from anything.
Uh-huh.
Are you finding that now with your with having Zest and finding that pocket? Do you feel more energized or more filled spiritually per se,
Yeah,
or
I know what
fulfilled?
you're saying. It's like no matter how well you are taken care of physically, there's something draining about not living in your power.
Yeah.
It's like a depression of the soul. So then, conversely, when you're aligned with your power and your purpose and your highest, good, there's nothing more energizing than that. Um, I certainly feel that in my life. I'm a very rare case medically. Um, just the amount of like energy and vitality that I possess having gone through what I've been through. It's pretty rare. There's not whole lot of people like me.
Right.
Usually people that have gone through what I've gone through are like pretty disabled,
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with a lot of stuff. And for whatever reason, I think there's obviously more to health than just physical, right?
Truth.
We touched on this earlier, but there's physical health, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you're eating, how much you're sleeping, just your kind of whatever your alignment physically based on all the different factors. Then you have this like I want to say emotional health, but it's almost more than that. It's like a an emotional and spiritual alignment. Whatever that is for me, it's just absolutely fucking dialed, man. And so if I can get if I can get this whole like physical realm like pretty good, like I'm just like that being said, I gotta eat and I gotta sleep no matter what.
Right.
I gotta eat and I gotta sleep. Like I cannot function on low sleep at this point in my life. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's, how old are you?
Uh, 38 now.
Okay, we're not that far from each other, but I'm about to be 41, and so I'm at this point where like if I lose 1 or 2 hours of sleep, like the next day, I'm like I feel like shit, and so it's like become this like I don't know if it's this is what I was gonna say is I don't know if it's my age or me becoming so deliberate and sensitive surrounding the subtle energetics of being me that I'm just really, really tapped into. I'm just become sensitive.
Yeah.
In order to be like you know, a channel and a receiver and someone that kind of like can exist on these energetic realms, you kind of have to become that way. I mean, it just forces you to become that way.
Right. I would say the more you flex those muscles, the more heightened they become. So the more you become aware of your energy and the energy around you, the more and heightened. It's like a double-edged sword, but the more you flex those muscles and become more aware of them,
Yeah.
which can be a double-edged sword.
It can. It's obviously the right way to go,
For sure.
you know? Um, I mean, this is the nature of really spiritual growth
Yeah,
is that you go, yes, I want to know all this stuff and I want to do all this, but you say yes, you think you want it all, but then as it comes and you learn and you integrate and grow, you start to realize there's things that you can no longer do. I can't do this ever. This thing, I can't ever do this ever again. I can't go to some party and drink alcohol and have shallow conversations. I'm never going to do that again.
totally.
So it's like it can feel like a loss in a way. Like I used to do this my whole life with my buddies and now it's completely gone and I miss it. But you're never losing parts of you. You're never really losing any parts of you that are important. You're
Would you say
you're
you're finding you? Finding the real you?
I don't see it that way. I see it I don't see it as an add-on. It's like you can't add on what you already are. It's
Yeah.
always there. It's just underneath all the shit.
Yeah, I would say it's like peeling back the layers to find your true essence, your true
Sure,
self,
I
the
can see.
real
Yeah, I
you.
can see that. Yeah, it's kind of semantics, right? But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're finding you inside of you
Yeah.
for sure. I tend to view the spiritual process as a process of shedding. You
Exactly.
know, it's
Like the
a lot of
onion,
people
Alan
a lot of people
Watts.
see it as like adding on, like you're adding on balloons that are going to lift you up, right? Or like, oh, I'm doing yoga now. Oh, I have a breathing practice. I'm vegan. Oh, I'm going to float higher and higher. But it's not. It's like you're just cutting off the weights.
That's just spiritual ego, right?
Yeah, 100%. You're just adding. You're really doing is adding on more weights by thinking that that stuff's helping you.
Yes.
And so it's a process of just like shedding these really just a lot of beliefs to
Yeah, I mean,
find the truth.
think about how everybody's been told what it means to be a man or a white man, male, female, whatever race you are, religion. Uh, everybody's been told who to be and how to act. Most people never even start a journey of question or wondering who they really are. They just taking face value of what everybody's told them.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the process of becoming a man. And it's really the rite of passage from boyhood into manhood that we're lacking here in the West, which, there's some form of this in almost every single, tribal society the world has ever seen of like, this boy is now becoming a man,
Right.
which means setting down what people have told, like taking everything that everyone's told you, your parents, all of society, and deciding which parts of these I like, which part do I want to move forward with, and which stories do I want to rewrite for myself. What is my truth? What is really true for me? Most people just make it, a sequel, and they go, I'm just going to continue walking around with my parents' voice in my head saying all the same shit to me, right?
Right.
That's the most common in our society, and that's what I did for many years of my life. But deciding to make a new story from scratch of what you are, right?
Yeah. Starting a new chapter, rewriting a new book or rebirth. I guess there's a
Rebirth.
many references to that thing.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how our language combats some of the things we seek to learn. Whereas like the Bwiti, their language doesn't create a separation between them and what we would call God or Creator. And like the natives here in the States, one of my favorite terms is called the Shante Ista, was the single eye of the heart. Our language really lacks the vibration to try and communicate the things we're trying to communicate when it comes to spirituality and consciousness.
I don't know, man. I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, yeah. Doing the best as we can with the what we've been given. Uh, well, man, it's been a great chit chat.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and talk with you, buddy.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're so glad to have you. Do you have any things coming up you like to share, or anything you like to
Oh,
touch on?
shoot. I got a whole big schedule of shows and festivals and crap. You can go to heavenzest.com and check it out. You can come follow me on social media. On all social media, it's heavenzest111. So at heavenzest111. I do my live streams every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live and TikTok. Come check one of those out. They're extremely fun. And I'd love to see any of you out there that are listening that don't know me. I'd love to see you at a show. Come say hi at a show and check out my shows on my website, heavenzest.com.
Heck yeah. Are you gonna make it out east any this year?
I'm coming to Frequency One Festival, which is in Minnesota
Okay.
in July. That's about as far out east as I'm coming. I just got back from New York 2 weekends ago, but that was as far east as we've ever played. But
Right.
yeah,
We got to get you to the Carolinas sometime.
yeah, man, I'd love to come out there.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure. Like to say thank you for joining us, and thank you for being you and
Thanks, bro.
carrying on that vibration, that love, and that knowledge that you've been gifted with. Thank you for
Yes,
sharing.
sir.
And
Absolutely, man.
I love
Thank
you,
you so
brother.
much, bro.
And we'll catch you soon, hopefully. More
All
sooner
right,
than
bro.
later.
Okay, peace and love, man.
Have a good one.